looking at, of course, in today's paper, we've seen a doctor in Nakuru may decide he's going to throw in filing a petition. And tumeona he's been doing that for quite time in time, and he's been consistent on that. And I would like to just get to understand what's your perspective on the same, the act, and the levy in collectively.
Yeah, first of all, as a legislator, I have to tell you that we had very serious objections as members of the minority to some of the provisions of the housing, Affordable Housing Act, with fundamental constitutional principles that housing is a devolved function. So for you to bring in the national government, it is basically usurping the role of county governments. And that is where we began our objections. Of course, our objections fall on deaf ears because the people in parliament that were elected from the ruling party always do the bidding of the executive in the house. So even when it came to the floor of the Senate, the minority side did actually propose amendments that we thought were common sense amendments. And I will give you an example. If somebody has 5 years to go to retirement, we thought that is not somebody you would subject to this taxation because he's never going to raise enough money to be able to buy that house. If somebody has been diagnosed with terminal illness, you would rather allow that person to concentrate on their medication because you know how expensive. If you are diagnosed with cancer, for instance, we allow you to concentrate on that. Unfortunately, all of our amendments were defeated. We also proposed that there be a capping, so you don't just say 1.5% of the gross salary of all the people. We say, okay, 1.5%, but up to a certain level. Because cumulatively, what has happened, Brian, is that there are many, many taxes. You take the 1.5 for the housing, then you take the 2.75 of the SHIF, and all the other taxes that have been introduced, including the VAT on fuel. Cumulatively, when you look at people's pay slips, many people are unable to sustain their lives. So we did make objections. We proposed a capping. We actually tried to propose an amendment to say, instead of levying the 1.5 on gross salary, let's do it on net salary. So that after every other deductions, absolutely, after whatever is left, then you can take that. We also tried so hard to argue for certain exemptions to certain categories of people. If you are earning certain less than a certain threshold, we shouldn't really.
There's some people who are actually not even earning in the first place.
Absolutely. So unfortunately, because I am outnumbered and the minority is outnumbered in the Senate, they did bludgeon the bill through. And I saw people saying that's the end of the matter when the president signs the bill into assent. It is not the end of the matter because we were always going to challenge this bill even in the courts. We want the courts to have a final say. And whereas the doctor in Nakuru has already gone to court, I want to disclose here that we as the senators in the minority, all the 20 plus of us, are also preparing to go to court. Of course, we're being led by Senator for Busia, Senator Omtata. We were signing the affidavits last night. So anytime today, we will also be presenting our petition before the courts to argue these very same things before the courts and see if the courts will listen to us.
That's really good to hear because that was also going to be one of my questions because it's a game of numbers in the Senate. What other recourse exists now for us? Because clearly the numbers game is not going to work. But now that we know that at least there's movement and that we'll see something happening in court, then the next question becomes, is there a way to stop things that are either unconstitutional or very punitive to Kenyans before they get to the floor of the Senate?
That is the most interesting question I've had in all the time that I've come to media. The way you stop bad things happening is to stop giving bad people power. You see, bad people are prone to doing bad things. That is their nature. That is what they do. In fact, for me as an opposition legislator, I have complained recently that these guys are overworking us with all the bad ideas they come up with. Every single morning, you will wake up with another damn idea that you have to summon strength to fight. Why can't the people who have the power to do the right things just do the right things? I have said that it is actually possible for a government to govern in accordance with the law. If the constitution does not permit you to do something, why are you forcing it through just because you have the numbers? So that is the fundamental discussion I wish we had in this country and said people's history is important. You can study somebody's history. By the time somebody is running for president, you can study them and see their history of their beliefs, what their values are, what their virtues are. Are these people who believe in these constitutional tenets that we hold dear? Is this somebody who's prone to, going extra judicial? Is he somebody who has a history subverting the population or subverting people's rights, like the rights to speech and so on and so forth? If somebody is died in the Wool Kanu youth winger, why are you giving this person power? You know?
Yeah, well, you know, it's very, very true what you're saying. Then I think tuko pale tuko. The elections already happened. We are where we are.
Yeah, but you see, the beauty is that elections will come again.
Yes, they will.
And this conversation is important to be had from
the word go.
From the word go. Yeah. Yes, people voted this government for various reasons. Many of them tell us they were angry. And anger is a very powerful motivation. Unfortunately, anger also blinds you to certain things. An angry person cannot be reasoned with. This is something that I understand. Yeah. So people were angry for various reasons, you know, because they were saying, the previous government was not also listening to them. Kulikuwa na kiburi mingi. But I'm asking, ile kiburi Uhuru alikuwa nayo, si hao jamaa hata wamepitisha? Because if you hear the way they speak to the people, my brother, that is not how a servant of the people should speak to the people who elected them.
So you feel like
we are actually in the same space we were in. We have a government that does not listen to the people. You have a constitution that says, before a law is passed, listen to what the people are saying. Public participation. People come to these forums. They take their time to write emails, prepare memoranda, appear, make submissions. Even the best classic example is this Finance Act of last year. 99% of the people who appeared before the Budget Committee of the National Assembly said these things are going to have a negative effect on the economy. Yeah. We do not want these things, including these avocado farmers, these ones. And all these MPs, some of them are saying they did not read the Finance Act. But if you remember correctly, the president stood somewhere, I think it was in Narok, and he said, I want to see any member of parliament from my party who's going to oppose this bill. So as much as we blame the members of parliament, we also understand that they also face the same dictatorship within their own party that we face as a country.